somebody
shut
was
your mouth while I'm talking,
that.
please.
Hey,
Shut your
jackass.
mouth while I'm talking. You'll get your chance
Jackass.
to
No, I'm not
respond.
going to shut my mouth.
Hey, idiot, you'll get your chance to respond when I'm done.
No, no.
So yeah.
When
So
people,
I would think
you
that
don't
if
like
somebody said,
interrupt.
"Can you remove him? Can you
You don't
remove
like.
him, Andrew?
Hey,
Can you remove
jackass.
him until I'm done talking?"
Well,
Because he's just
hold
going
on,
to
hold on.
try to.
I wasn't saying. Well, just real quick. Let's just do a one mic policy, just real quick. Enlighten, just so you know, I wasn't saying defend Darth.
I was
I
in the
was
middle
saying
of talking,
I don't like
Andrew.
defend.
Hey,
I was
Jackie.
in the
Like,
middle of talking, Andrew. And you.
How's it going, Enlighten? How you
It
doing,
was
buddy?
Enlighten.
I'm good. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for
I think.
having me up.
Yeah, you bet. Didn't you used to have? Didn't you used to have a like a dinosaur on your profile? Didn't that used to be a
No,
dinosaur?
that's my brother Redefined, who had.
Oh, okay.
He's another Darth minion.
Oh, okay. Are you another meaning you're a Darth Minion too?
No, actually, that's wrong. I'm a Darth Dawkins sock puppet.
Okay.
Redefine's the really toxic one. Enlighten is the lighthearted, nice one.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. So what has been your have you been listening to what's been happening here? I mean, apart from, the Venus Andre interaction, but I mean, have you been listening to
That's like
this
such a small part of the interaction. Why are you
yeah, I
focusing?
agree. I'm just saying apart from that. Meaning I didn't want him to comment necessarily on that. I was just talking about, I don't want to try to bring that up. But I'm just saying, like, are you hearing this? And like, what, I don't think, I don't think I've ever actually talked to you before. If I'm getting you confused with somebody else, I don't know.
No, yeah, we have. You and I have spoken multiple times before. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I just don't know. I
It's
thought,
probably
I thought
the
you,
avatar. It's probably my avatar that you don't notice. I used to have a the Crush Atheism profile. It's been a while. Haven't been working and everything like that, so I haven't been on here for a while, but I'm back. But yeah, I've spoken to you're a Christian, correct me if I'm wrong, right? Could you hear me?
oh yeah, sorry. I'm a little bit. It was your avatar. It used to be what?
It used to be Crush Atheism. That used to be my avatar. You and we've spoken multiple times before.
Oh, okay.
You called me up before. I think you had Darth on here one time, but that didn't go the best way. And you're like, hey, what was your opinion on it? Like, what did you
Oh yeah,
say?
that's right. Okay,
Something
that
like
was
that.
you. Okay, so it was you. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you
Yeah.
recognized. I'm glad you were willing to acknowledge. I mean, you still thought that what he was saying was true, but I think you agreed that his approach was wrong. I think that was right.
I mean,
Right?
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
you don't think you should be
I, I
telling like,
I'm not necessarily going to say that his approach was wrong, but I mean, do I necessarily agree to everything that he says or does? I mean, of course not, but neither does he with me. So, I mean,
well, I mean, do you think swearing at people and yelling at them that's appropriate?
I think it generally depends on the circumstance, but I mean, regarding on the interaction between you and him, no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm certainly, yeah, I don't know that he was swearing at me too, but I mean, more just other people. I'm not so worried about him swearing at me, but I was just kind of wondering if you thought that was, you know,
Right.
uh,
No, I think it depends on the circumstance.
can you give me an example of a circumstance where he's been like, F you, get the F out of here and kicks him off stage or something like that? I mean, how would you even, it's hard for me to construct a scenario where that would make sense to talk like that to somebody and kick them off stage.
Well, I mean, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I don't
No,
understand
not
what
what you to
is.
do. It's not what I'm just trying to understand if your perception is the same as mine, that's just not Christ-like behavior. And I think last time you and I talked, you said, well, I don't agree with his approach, but I agree with the things
Correct.
that he
Don't agree.
says.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Or like his points. I think you agree with his points that he's making, but you don't agree with his approach.
Yeah, for certain things, I don't agree with his approach. But that's for certain things. I think I like him as an apologist. I think he's a great
Sure.
apologist. I mean,
Yeah.
we all sin and fall short of the glory of God at the end of the day, and we all make mistakes. And he may not say, or he may say specific things that might not be right at the certain point, but I mean, there's also a lot of people that are assholes and that troll them. So I mean, at the same time, it's not me to judge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, certainly you wouldn't think Jack ANGRYstreich is one of the trolls, right? I mean, he's not a troll
Uh,
towards Darth.
Like, what
you
say
know,
what
I don't
when you
believe.
say he's a great apologist? Can you give a valid argument that he's ever given?
Yeah, look, Jack. You and I've had this discussion on numerous occasions. I don't really see a reason why I should give you an explanation.
But I just wondering. You said he was a great apologist. I'm just wondering. Do you think that he's ever given a valid argument?
I mean, I'm one of his, I guess you would say, sock puppets. So I mean, I think I would definitely. I think you know the answer of
So
that.
what's an example of a valid argument
Yeah,
given?
and regardless of your history, Enlighten, maybe you could, because I mean, seriously, I mean, obviously, listened to a lot of stuff that Jack has said, and I think he makes a lot of sense, and I think a lot of the points he makes are very
I mean, I
powerful.
respect. Okay. I mean, I respect your. You can have
You
that
respect
position. I
what?
respect your position. I think Jack is a terrible defender of atheism. I think he contradicts himself every single time. But I mean, I'm willing to have
Let's
more.
not get off
Yes, wait,
track.
what?
Let's not get off track, and let's just see if you
Why?
can name
We got
a
to.
valid argument that Darth has ever given.
Why do I have to give you a valid
Well,
argument?
I'm
Why
just
do I owe you
wondering,
that?
when you say he's a great apologist, is that because he's able to give valid arguments?
I mean, what do you think? When somebody
Well,
says somebody's a great apologist,
I would think that if somebody said somebody was a great apologist, that would probably imply that they gave valid arguments at the very least, right? But I have a lot of difficulty coming up with any valid argument that Darth has ever given. But maybe you have some in mind.
Don't you think you could come at it, Enlighten, from like just like forget about the slate, like whatever's going on in the past, like forget about that. Like, don't you think it would be good to give a defense? Because I've never heard you give a defense. Like
why?
Yeah,
Why do I have defense for somebody who is not even here?
So
no, no, no,
I
no, no,
just
no,
not
no.
I'm just not clear. I'm just not clear on this. You are
Yeah,
saying that he gives valid arguments, right? So
Well,
what
of
are
course,
some?
just like when somebody
Great.
says
So
that
what
you're a
are some?
good-
What are some? Why don't we avoid all the meta? Just you give us a few of his valid arguments so we can
well, that's what I was
appreciate.
saying. Yeah, and just
Why
to be
does he
clear,
have to do?
Enlighten.
Why does he have to defend Darth's
Oh no,
Yeah, I
arguments?
I
know.
was just
I
I
almost
was
feel
just
like
Hold
asking. He
on,
said he thought
hold
he
on,
was.
hold on,
He
hold
said
no.
he
on.
thought
Let
he
me
was
let
a
me
Yeah,
just
He's
great.
finish
not
up the
defending
point.
Darth's
yeah,
argument. He's
that's not what I
defending
was
his
saying.
position.
Just
He
He's
said he
defending
thought.
his position.
yeah, that's not what I was
He
saying.
said he thought Darth was a great apologist, and I thought, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah,
right,
Now,
right.
Andrew,
if Darth
you're
were
a
a
good
great
atheist.
apologist, if Darth were a great apologist,
Just like
certainly,
you're a great. You're a
certainly,
defender.
certainly, some dumbass like Enlightened one would be able to come up with
Oh,
a few. Would
okay.
be
Yeah,
able to come
says
up
the
with.
guy who
Shut your
Darth
mouth
Dawkins.
while I'm
Somebody,
talking.
Well,
somebody
Shut
was
your
a
mouth while I'm talking,
jackass.
please.
A
Shut your
jackass.
mouth while I'm talking. You'll get your chance
Jackass.
to
No, I'm not
respond.
going to shut my mouth.
Hey, idiot! You'll get your chance to respond when I'm done.
No,
So
no.
yeah.
I,
When
So I
people,
would think
you
that
don't
if
like
somebody
to
said,
interrupt.
"Can you remove him? Can you
You don't
remove
like
him, Andrew?
a
Can you remove
jackass.
him until
no,
I'm done talking?"
well,
Because he's just
hold
going
on,
to
hold on.
try to.
I wasn't saying. Well, just real quick. Let's just do a one mic policy, just real quick. Enlighten, just so you know, I wasn't saying defend
Wait.
Darth.
I was
I
in the
was
middle of
saying
I don't
talking,
like
he's
Andrew.
Jackie.
defend.
Okay,
I was
Jackie,
in the
like
middle of talking, Andrew, and
I
he
understand,
was
Jack.
trying to
Okay,
overtalk me to prevent me
Enlighten, let him.
from finishing what I
I
was
don't
saying,
care
and I
what
don't
you have
I
like
to
know,
say.
that. Yeah, and he
I know,
doesn't
Jack, but
Nobody
care,
cares
right?
what you have
He
to
you
say.
doesn't
did call him a
actually care
dumbass, though.
that he's over
Right?
talking me. Yeah, I called him a
Yeah.
dumbass because he's
Calling me a
fucking
dumb.
dodging. Because he's fucking dodging.
Okay,
Because he knows.
Okay.
Yeah,
He
but
knows.
that's not how
He
you actually
knows.
have a
He
conversation, Jack.
knows.
You know
okay,
that.
jackass.
Sorry. He knows
Okay.
that he can't
Let
come
Jack
up with
finish.
any.
Let
Yeah,
Jack
he
finish.
knows
You
he
guys can
can't come
respond.
up. He knows that he can't come up with any valid arguments that Darth has given. Because every time Darth has tried to give a fucking argument, it turned out to be formally invalid.
Oh
Right?
my god.
So when he said Darth was a great apologist, surely he didn't mean that Darth gave great arguments, right? Because we've
I
now
mean, like,
asked you about shut your mouth until I'm done,
Let him
dumbass.
finish.
Yeah.
Let Jack finish,
Because
please,
we've
guys.
now asked you about 10 times to name even one fucking valid argument that Darth Dawkins has ever given. right? And your dumbass hasn't been able to come up with one. Instead, you've tried to overtalk me, dodge, right? Engage in meta, etc., etc. So
Oh,
yeah,
Jack.
Andrew,
Wow.
Andrew.
that's
What?
I was just
Okay.
trying to get this dumbass Enlighten one to defend his claim
Wow. You should be
that
proud of
Darth,
yourself.
shut
You
your mouth.
oh,
Shut
Jack.
I
your
don't see
mouth.
how
Shut
I
your
don't see
Make
how
mouth.
Jack is any better
Shut your
than
mouth.
Darth at this point,
I was
Andrew.
trying to
okay,
get this
jackass.
dumbass. I was trying to get this dumbass Enlightened
Okay,
one
jackass.
to defend his claim that Darth is a great apologist, and we're still waiting for him to do that. Now, can you do that, Enlightened one?
I don't owe you a single damn explanation, dude. You are a fool of an atheist apologist, and you're a disgrace. And the
Nice
fact that you
Darth,
have a following.
please.
So
Well,
all this is ad hominem attacks. Like I'm gonna be very clear. Like Andrew, I think it's very problematic. I agree with you, just to be very clear, that Darth is a problem with the way that he behaves
Oh,
and
shut your
carries on.
whining, Philip.
Okay.
Philip, it's not
Uh,
about the way he
Yeah.
behaves. It's
Hey,
about
do
but
you
the
think?
issue,
Hey,
Andrew. But
does
the
this
issue,
guy
Andrew.
Philip? Do you think Darth has given valid arguments, Philip?
I haven't really paid attention to Darth's arguments,
Oh
Jack. To be
yeah,
clear, yeah.
yeah,
And the other thing is, I think
yeah.
at the end of
Well,
the day, I'm calling
that's
on
what's on
Andrew.
the table here.
I
That's the
understand, but I think
discussion
even
on the
Rob
table here.
but I
Discussion
even
on
think
the
Rob
table
and
here
Andrew.
is
you
whether
you have a talking.
Darth is a great apologist or not,
Yeah.
right? And
You're a
Andrew, are you there?
Enlighten one said,
Yeah. We're here.
Enlighten one said that Darth
and
does
one time.
Can I ask you a
Darth
question, Andrew?
does give.
You
Enlighten
you
one
can,
said,
Philip.
just a
You
minute.
can just
Enlighten one
let
said
let
Yep,
that
Jack
everybody
Darth.
be for
finish.
Jack. He doesn't when you interrupt.
Enlighten one said that Darth does give valid arguments, right?
He does.
And he couldn't fucking come up with even a single one,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So I'm just trying to see if a dumbass like Enlighten One can say anything in defense of the claim that Darth Dawkins is a great
Why do
apologist,
I owe you an
right?
explanation, you fucking douchebag?
Who said
Nobody
you
cares
owed
what
me
you have
one?
to say.
Who said you
You're
owed me one?
you're a horrible atheist
Who said you
apologist.
owed me one?
Horrible
Who said you owed me one?
apologist. You're
Who
terrible.
said
You're the
you owed me one?
garbage.
Who said you owed me one? Who
I
said
don't
that?
do. You apparently think everybody owes
No,
you
I didn't
everything.
say
Apparently,
that. I didn't say you owed
you
me
do.
an explanation. What I
You,
said
I,
was, what I
I don't.
said was, is that you can't do it, right? And
Oh,
that's a,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so
Now you want to come here and talk. You know, I asked you so many times to debate,
that's a
and you ran,
hypothesis.
and now all of a
That's a
sudden you want to talk.
hypothesis. Okay, can you
Now
shut
you
him
want
up
to.
until I'm
Hey,
done?
Jack,
So that
Jack.
hypothesis, shut your
Okay,
mouth
Jack.
until I'm done, right?
Why should
Now
I give a chance? Just
the
move me down to the
hypothesis,
audience there at
the
this point.
hypothesis that you're too dumb
My
and too dishonest to do
too
so,
dumb. Oh,
right?
here he goes with it.
That your
My
hypothesis that you're
hypothesis.
too dumb
My
and too dishonest to do so,
my hypothesis.
right? Generates a predictive. So
Yeah.
Andrew, are you going to permit this?
he
This over talking?
acts like Darth
Well,
Dawkins.
I
Like
don't.
Darth.
I can't even. I got stuff cutting in and out. I can hardly hear what's going on right now, but
Yeah.
I know it's not good.
Jacob, is Jacob here?
So
Yeah, I'm here, but
Yeah, Jacob.
I think
Can you get Enlighten One to shut up until I'm done talking?
You don't like when somebody.
okay. Just one at a time. Just one at a time.
Yeah.
Let's not be abusive to each other as well.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So my hypothesis is that Enlighten One is too stupid and too dishonest to defend his claim that Darth Dawkins is a great apologist, and that generates a predictive expectation, right? That he's not going to be able to provide even a single example of Darth giving a valid argument, right? Let alone several or many, right? And then instead, he's going to overtalk people, obstruct, engage in meta, insult me, etc., etc.
You insulted him
Right?
first, though, Jack. Like
What difference does
you
that
actually.
make? What
It makes a
difference does
huge
that
difference
make?
because it makes you no different than him.
Does that
And the
mean that
end,
my hypothesis is not
yeah, he doesn't owe
corroborated
you,
by the evidence?
Jack. He doesn't owe
Explain
you.
to me.
People can have. Hold up,
Sorry,
Professor Jack.
let's just
Jack,
get clear.
Jack, you interrupted him.
Shit,
Hold up,
let's
you
just get
interrupted
clear.
him in the
Yeah,
middle of a
stop talking.
conversation.
Stop
No,
talking.
hold up, Professor. Like
Stop
this idea that
talking.
you have like
Stop
the moral
talking.
high
Okay, wait,
ground is
Jacob,
just
Philip,
kind of
Philip.
Jacob,
funny.
Let Jack
Jacob.
finish, then you can respond
Yeah.
to him.
Why
All
don't
right.
you just mute
Now
Jack?
you just said, and I want to get clear on this point. You just said that makes my hypothesis not corroborated by the evidence. Is that right?
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah, I'm asking you a
Yeah,
question. You just
let me start with this.
interrupted me.
I kept interrupting
Shut your
because
mouth. Shut, shut.
there's no difference
Jacob,
between you and
Jacob,
Darth.
Jacob, Jacob,
Hold
Jacob,
on, Professor.
Jacob,
I
Jacob,
was going to
Jack.
Jacob.
respond to him.
I want
Okay,
you.
okay.
You
Let Jack
asked me
Jacob.
to
continue
ask a
then.
Yeah,
If
question. I
he's
think
not
I think I
arguing
can
the
yeah,
question.
respond.
yeah, yeah.
Wait, can't
Yeah,
I
you just
respond
keep
since he
you
asked me a
keep
question?
interrupting. You keep
Yeah,
no,
You
no.
asked
Well,
me
you
a
I'm in the middle of
question.
talking. I'm in the middle of
nobody
Then why don't
cares
you
talking.
what
ask
you
me a
have to say.
question?
Stop interrupting me. Stop
okay.
interrupting.
Wait for Jack. When Jack's done, he will say he's done. Then you can
Yeah,
respond.
right.
Yeah.
Now, you interrupted me to say that I insulted him first. And I said, does that mean that my hypothesis is not corroborated by the evidence? And you said yes. And I'm trying to get clear, right, if in fact that's what you're saying, that it's not corroborated by the evidence because I called him a dumbass. So I want you to explain that.
Sure. I'm going to respond, and then if you interrupt, you can't interrupt me. I got to respond the way I want to respond. You don't dominate the conversation. So what I'm going to say here is that he was actually talking to Andrew. He wasn't talking to you. He can have an opinion about Darth, and he doesn't owe you to prove that opinion at all. And the idea that you insult him and then you say that you have a hypothesis and that somehow proves it, if he's not engaging with you, it proves nothing. It just proves that you're insincere and you're no better than Darth. And at that point, if you're no better than Darth, then what's the difference? I mean, the behavior you're portraying right now with somebody you know or don't know is just disingenuous. And at the end of the day, like there's guys on the stage, I think for the most part, Andrew, Rob, and I think Jacob, they don't usually they don't usually converse with starting a hypothesis and then with an insult. At the end of the day, you can think what you want about Darth. I have my own opinions about his behavior as well. But that doesn't mean that somebody that doesn't hold those behaviors has some litmus test that you're allowed to put on them as if you hold a higher moral ground. At this point, you look no different than Darth Dawkins. Your behavior is disgraceful.
Great. So now was that a yes or no to my question? I don't know why you wasted our time with fucking 2 minutes of garbage when I don't even know whether you're saying yes or no. When I asked you a
Jack, why
yes or no
can't you just
fucking
answer the
question,
question?
you fucking idiot. So
Yeah,
Hey,
yes
I
or
Jack.
don't owe
no?
you anything, Jack. I don't think why
Okay.
you think you can
So I
Jack.
don't
demand things of people
understand.
and so on
I
and
don't
so forth.
Jack.
yeah, so why are you
You can say
intervening?
whatever you can say
Why
whatever
are
you and now
you
you're interrupting.
why
Now
are
you're
you
interrupting me. You're
Hey,
interrupting
Jack.
I'll wait.
me. You're
Jack.
interrupting me. So I'm
Okay,
going to finish what I'm
finish up.
saying.
No problem.
Guys, this is
Yeah, so this is literally just laughable. If you have some like thing with Darth, like when people like him, you feel like you need to like disprove them or whatever it is. That sounds really weird. Like it almost sounds like, and I'm just saying this, it's like in elementary school that you have like some friend that you don't want him to be with friends with other people, and when he says that he's friends with somebody else, you like lose your mind and become crazy. Like at the end of the day, just dude, like I don't know how old you are, but grow up a little bit.
Okay. So we've got another dumbass here, right, who interrupted me when I was explaining how I was offering a hypothesis, right, that uh, that Enlighten one is an idiot and a dishonest person, right, and it predicts that he's not going to be able to defend his claim that Darth is a great apologist by doing things like giving examples of even valid arguments, right, that Darth gives, let alone good arguments,
so
right,
can
let alone non-question begging arguments, right, that Darth gives, right? And so some other dumbass in the chat decided to interrupt and say, no, the fact that I insulted him first means that my hypothesis is not corroborated. And when I asked him a yes or no question to clarify that that's in fact what he was saying, right, he wasted 5 minutes of our time with some garbage, right, that didn't even address the question, right? So obviously you're not interested in answering the question. So I don't know why you're butting in with your fucking bullshit, right? My claim is that when Enlighten One says that Darth is a great apologist, he's talking out of his ass, right? He's talking out of his ass, right? He can't even provide a single good argument. Probably can't even provide a single valid argument that Darth gave, right? Anywhere, right? Now, what I'm asking people to do is counter that claim. So are there any takers?
Yeah, so Andrew, he's done talking, so I'm gonna go ahead and since you're not a mod, Andrew, are you on? Are you able to have a second? I'm just gonna ask you a question. Also, I just want
Yeah,
to
I'm
point
here.
out that Jack, yeah, I just want to point out that you were having a conversation with Enlighten, not Jack, and
Yeah,
Jack
I
jumped
understand.
in. Jack
Yeah,
jumped in and then
yeah.
squared this whole conversation around because he thinks that his ego is the most important in this room. I hope that's not the case, but that's what it sounds like. But at the end of the day, Andrew,
Yeah.
like I agree with you that Darth is problematic and that his things are that way, but the idea that some Christians can't associate with him, or they're wrong, or they have wrong think, and so on and so forth, like to me, that's just as crazy as telling people that are atheists they have no good reason to be an atheist. You know what I mean? Like this idea of association that Jack's trying to
Yeah, but
do,
I
which
don't
he's
think
like,
that's right.
yeah.
And I hear you, Phil, but I don't think that's what Jack was doing. And I appreciate
Well,
that,
then,
but I don't think
yeah,
what
if he's
Jack.
going to
So
interrupt while
I
you're
think,
having a middle of a conversation, you should address that.
yeah,
Phil,
yeah.
that has nothing to do with what Reed
So
just
Are you
said.
not
let me
gonna let me?
It's a
Are
let
you
me
derail.
even
let
gonna
me
let?
let me say one thing that I do think is relevant here, though. And I understand that. I mean, there's obviously a lot of history that I'm not fully privy to. Okay, but I'm just going to say this. I have seen issues with argumentation that Darth has given in the past, and I've talked to him a few times, and I've listened to him quite a bit. And when Enlighten made the claim that he thinks that Darth is a good apologist, meaning he can give good defenses of the Christian faith, I think Jack. I mean, what Enlighten could do is say, well, I don't know how to put them forward. I heard them; they were persuasive to me, but I don't know how to defend them. That's fine. But what Jack, I think, senses is that that is a dishonest claim, and I'm not saying that Enlighten has to defend it, but I think Jack feels like that's dishonest, so it really
Well,
frustrates him.
what do you think,
Yeah.
Andrew? What do you think,
Well, I
Andrew?
think
Are you
Do
gonna
you
I
Well, can I
think
think?
respond
Do
to that?
you
Can I
think? Do you
respond to you since
think?
you're
Do
talking
you
to
think?
Andrew? He's
Do you
interrupting the
think? Do
conversation
you
between you
think?
and him.
Do you think that the evidence
Oh my
is?
gosh.
Do you think that the evidence is that Enlightened One can defend the
are you
claim
gonna
that
let me?
Darth is a great apologist?
Are you gonna even let me respond?
Like,
And Andrew, Andrew,
what's
can I just?
your?
I'll leave the stage here in a second. I just want to
Yeah,
say
good.
something real quick.
Keep
wait. I
good.
mean,
I
Leave.
understand, Jack.
Say something
I
quick and
Jack,
then
understand
leave
nobody
the
you love to be
fucking
the
cares.
center.
stage.
I understand. Hold
Yeah.
up. I just want to
Okay,
say something,
Enlighten and
Andrew.
Philip. Enlighten and Philip. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Andrew is a mod. You got to please let him determine what's going to happen. Okay? Please,
Well, then I'll leave
just
the
be quiet for just
stage.
a
I
second.
mean, I can't even.
That's fine. You can totally do that. You can totally do that if you want to. But Andrew's a mod.
Okay, well,
Okay? He gets priority. So please let him talk.
you're not gonna let me speak at all. You're just gonna let this.
Let Okay, Enlighten. You got to stop talking. Please.
No,
I'm asking you nicely. I'm saying please. Andrew, whatever you want
Yeah,
to do. You're calm,
yeah.
dude.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, the thing is it's tough. I mean, because I understand Jack's upset. He calls what he sees as being BS. I'm not saying that he's wrong. I think he has a history with you guys, and he from 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 what I've seen, Jack has been straightforward and a straight shooter. I don't know you Enlighten that well. I did want to give you a shot to like say what you wanted to say in defense of Christianity in general. I wasn't saying to defend Darth. But what Jack was asking is for you to kind of defend your claim that 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 Darth is a good apologist, and I can understand why he's frustrated because I think he feels like there's been an enormous amount of dishonesty and dodging in the history of all the Darth interactions and their minions, and I can understand that because I actually share that disdain. And I'm not saying you, Enlighten, are like that. I don't know that, but I think Jack does know that, or at least he feels like he does, and he wants to call you out. And part of me, obviously, I don't want to create an environment here that's not conducive to good conversation. I don't want that. I don't necessarily want Jack calling you names and stuff like that. But I can tell you what, I have been infuriated by the dishonesty from Christians on this app. I've been infuriated by it. It's just overwhelmingly disgusting. And so to me, it's like, look, if you're in a position where you cannot answer something and you don't have a good objection, don't be dishonest and say that you do. Don't make up stuff. And I see that all over the
But he
place
didn't.
with
But
theists.
Andrew,
And
he didn't do that
Jack's,
are you gonna
though.
let me
yeah,
respond?
He didn't do that.
He's
Hold up.
yeah,
talking to
he has
Enlighten,
to
Philip.
respond.
I'll leave
Philip,
here.
he's talking to Enlighten.
I
Yeah,
understand.
it's about time for
Just
you to leave.
Andrew, I'll leave.
Yeah, go ahead, Philip.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead.
Yeah. So
Go ahead if
so
you want to say
listen
something.
real
Go ahead.
fast. Look, that's the case within Christianity and atheism. Like these we're dealing with people here. Uh, somebody doesn't owe anybody if they say like, "Hey, I think Darth is a good apologist," and people are coming at them calling them idiots or "I want to test your hypothesis." They're not engaging. They don't owe that person anything. And the next thing I'd say
Yeah.
is like,
Did
"Oh,
I ever
hold up real
say I
fast,"
owed
and now
him?
you're interrupting. So like, I understand. Like, so I also would say I've talked to Godless on this stage before. And
Hmm.
Godless has told me, she like literally in her profile, I asked her, I said, she says, I hate the staggering confidence of my fellow atheist.
Sure.
And I asked her about that. And she said, I think some of the arguments, especially from Darth, need to be taken more seriously, and we don't have good answers for some of them. I don't know. she'd have to speak on her own terms, but this is the conversation I had with her. So the idea
Okay.
that what he is saying holds no bones or people don't think these things, look, I mean, like, that's just not true on a higher level of what people think, and nobody holds the higher moral ground on this thing. And he never, when you were engaging him, and Jack cut off and started calling him insults. So you may have
Right.
disdain for him, but how are you going to carry on productive conversation when you sit there and you're sitting there and saying that this behavior, which is the exact same behavior Darth has, you have disdain for Darth's behavior, but then you're going to let somebody do this to another person?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
It's not
I
the
just don't get the
exact same
difference at all. And I'm
behavior.
done.
Yeah.
It's
I'm
So
done. I'll
I.
go to the
Not the
audience.
same
Yeah.
It's the
behavior.
Good.
exact same
Good. Now,
You're so
behavior.
confused.
Yeah, move down
hopefully,
now.
hopefully you're gonna fucking leave. You fucking idiot. Right? Because of course I never said that Enlighten One owed me an answer. Right? I merely pointed out that he wasn't able to answer. Right? And I've given a predictive hypothesis that generates an set of expectations that have been corroborated, right, to support that claim, right? And of course, you were too dumb, right, and too dishonest to note, right, that I merely asked Enlighten One when he said he was a great apologist if that meant that Darth was able to give valid arguments, right? Enlighten One didn't say, oh, I'm not going to talk to you, right? You're calling me names, right? He started to dodge, right? And I had to repeat the question 5 times, right? Before he started to engage in that bullshit, right? Now, when you say that Godless Girl said there's some stuff that Darth said is worth taking seriously that there aren't good answers for, right? That's precisely the question that I was raising, right? Whether Darth has any good questions or good arguments, right, or good objections that are worth raising, right? And I asked people to raise those, right? That's not what you fucking did, right? You strawman my view by saying that I thought that Enlightened One owed me some defense of his position, right? When I repeatedly said, when did I ever say that? You fucking dishonest piece of garbage, right? So yeah, if you want to come back sometime and try to engage honestly and to give us an example of even one argument or objection, right, that Darth Dawkins has ever come up with that's worth taking seriously, I'll be glad to discuss that with you, you fucking idiot.
Jack, you're a balls of laugh. So can I respond without being muted? Because I'll leave. This is a waste of time. Okay. Can I respond, Andrew?
Yes, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, you can.
Okay. Look, I didn't come on here to insult or give anybody names or anything like that. Like, I honestly was having a conversation with Andrew about Darth, and Jack, like he usually does, jumps in, interrupts, and then throws an insult at me saying I'm a dumbass because I don't defend Darth. Look, I don't feel like I need to defend Darth. And yes, Jack and I have a personal history with one another. Jack is a notorious troll. Okay, not only that, this is just a deceit and dodge that he likes to do because he's too afraid to defend his garbage worldview. And I've offered him multiple times on debates privately, and he's ran away. And now all of a sudden he wants to come up here like a tough guy saying, oh, you owe me an explanation. You need to give me a rational argument that Darth is a good apologist. I don't understand why I have to give you a rational argument. What argument could you possibly want from me? Okay, Jack, that to give you an example, you're going to reject my argument anyways. You're going to sit there and say, I think that Darth is a terrible apologist. So it really doesn't matter what I have to say, even
It's
if
like
I.
you didn't even listen. That's
But I'm
hilarious.
being interrupted.
Yeah, you're really confused, man.
No. You look, Jack is a troll. Okay. And this is all a deceitful purpose that he's
Specifically,
doing
what did
because
he
he.
ask you for?
Yeah,
I
he
don't
gave
care.
you some criteria to vindicate Darth, which was the valid arguments, and you didn't give any.
Exactly.
Like, Jack's given you
What
an
do I
opportunity there.
give a
Objective
You're
valid,
asking
what
like
criteria.
he.
valid
Your
argument?
exact words were, "He asked me for a rational argument
Okay.
that Darth
All right.
gave,"
Goodbye. See you later. You guys are
and you
interrupting.
said, "Oh, well, he can just say it's not
Wow, you're
rational."
running.
Why
See,
didn't
there
you
you
guys let
go.
Jack respond
Ran
to that?
away.
Yeah, so Andrew, do you think that Enlightened One is dodging?
I think that he doesn't want to engage you because he knows
I
what's going
know
to happen.
that,
Yeah,
but
he knows.
do you think that if you
Yeah,
asked him, can you give me some of Darth's valid arguments,
He
you'd
left,
get an
Jack.
answer? No, I know he left. I'm
yeah.
asking Andrew.
I tend to think not. I tend to think
Yeah.
that wouldn't go
Okay,
well.
good.
Yeah,
So we're in
yeah,
agreement.
yeah. I think that's probably true. Yeah.
I mean, this should be patently clear for everyone in the room that this guy just couldn't think of an example of a valid argument from Darth.
The thing is that he could have just
Well,
said that and been like, well, I
is
can't
it
give it to you
true?
formally.
Is it true that Jack has ran from Enlightenment's offers to debate him?
I didn't agree, if that's what you mean.
It sounded like you said he had offered to debate you multiple times and you
He's
had
Yeah, he's
ran or
asked
something.
me to debate him, and I didn't agree.